Skylark Outdoors here, and today I'm excited to share our review of Mammoth Mountain Ski Resort, which we've got right here, and some of the cool footage we captured from our trip to Mammoth Mountain. Now, Mammoth Mountain is one of my favorite ski resorts, and we're going to get into those reasons why, but first, I'd like to ask you to give us that thumbs up, subscribe, as well as you can click on any of the links below, buy us a coffee, and or subscribe to our Patreon if you want to support us. Now, the number one reason that I like Mammoth Mountain, and you really can't tell from these videos here, is that the terrain has everything that you could ever ask for. If you're a beginner, they've got beginner terrain. If you're intermediate, they've got plenty of intermediate terrain. And if you are an expert level skier, Mammoth Mountain has some of the steepest, most challenging lift service terrain in the country and in the world, and it is truly incredible. Now, on this day that I went to Mammoth Mountain, it was the day after a storm where they could not even open because there was so much fresh powder. But what's unique about Sierra Nevada powder is that it is typically a wetter snow. So what that means is you're going to have snow that accumulates on steeper cliff sides and steeper mountain faces, which means if you are into extreme terrain, it is really incredible, some of the steep terrain that you can ski in Mammoth that you probably will not see anywhere else in the world, because that snow will accumulate and stick to those steeper angles where it doesn't typically do it in other locations because you have a lighter, fluffier snow. So we're going to get into the stats of Mammoth Mountain, and then I'm going to tell you some really unique things and some of the cool stuff that I really love about Mammoth a little bit later. Now, Mammoth is located in Mammoth Lakes, California. It's about 5 hours from LA, 7 hours from San Diego, and 6 hours from San Francisco. And you will see a lot of Southern California, LA, and San Diego people like to come to this mountain, and it adds just a whole vibe to it, because it is one of the largest ski resorts in the area that is closest to those large metropolitan areas. And even though it is near those large metropolitan areas, you can see today was a weekend when I skied it, and plenty of space to get around. And that's another cool thing about Mammoth Mountain, is that basically it is a volcano, and you go all the way to the top of the volcano, or you can, and then you're basically skiing in 360 all the way around the volcano. So not a lot of ski resorts are set up like that. Usually it's just one side or one face of the mountain. With Mammoth, you're pretty much, the mountain is the volcano, and there's pretty much runs 360 degrees around the top peak. So you get 400 inches of average annual snowfall, which is pretty darn good for a ski resort. 300 days of sun, and you can see we got a beautiful sunny day after a storm. And their season can be incredibly long. They claim they can have a season from November all the way to June, sometimes even later. Now, the summit is 11,053 feet, which is pretty high for a ski resort summit, and your base elevation is 7,953 feet, and you've got about 3,100 feet of elevation and runs, which is pretty high in terms of the drop in elevation. So that means that you have a lot of skiing potential and a lot of potential energy to go downhill. You've got 3,500 acres of skiable terrain, but for whatever reason, however the mountain is laid out, it does feel like a lot more than 3,500 acres just because it is so big. And I think that's because there's parts of the mountain that you can ski that aren't necessarily a named run or considered skiable terrain, I guess, but people still kind of find ways to ski that. So just something to note there. You've got 25 lifts and 175 trails, with the longest trail being 3 miles long. You've got 15% easy terrain, 26% slightly difficult terrain, and 22% difficult terrain, 24% very difficult, and 13% extremely difficult. And when Mammoth gives that 13% extremely difficult rating, that is a true rating. You pretty much need to be a pro for some of that 13%. It is just very extreme, gnarly, steep stuff. And once again, what's cool about it is that it's very accessible via the lift serve terrain option. So you don't really have to do a boot pack for most of it. You can access that 13% extremely difficult terrain right from a lift most of the time. And on a day like today, after a big storm, there were people sending it off of some of that extreme terrain. And you can see it from lower elevations of the mountain where people are going through couloirs and down some of the steeper runs. So that was really cool to watch, as well as partake in some of the other places that were not as extreme. I still got some fresh runs, not on these ones, but earlier in the morning in some of the nicer powdery snow, which was a lot of fun and had a great time. In terms of accommodations, you've got 4-day lodges, 17 dining options, 7 restaurants, and 9 bars. They said there was like a snowcat bar, a mobile snowcat bar at one point. I don't know if they have that still, but that's what I looked at. I didn't see the snowcat bar. Now, here's another one if you are a park skier. So we talked about skiing overall. You can see right here, I think this is the U.S. ski team or snowboard team. Mammoth Mountain is known as one of the most amazing destinations for park skiing. So they have 10 different parks. It's called Unbound Terrain Parks or Unbound Terrain and Park Skiing, which you'll see it around Mammoth, but that's kind of like their branding of the park skiing. And they really do an incredible job with the park skiing. I think I had footage from people on the terrain park earlier, but I mean, it's everything you could want. If you want beginner jumps, you want beginner rails, you can do that, to extreme pro athlete level stuff. And you can see that was, I think, the U.S. ski team practicing the day that I was there. I don't know if we'll be able to see this guy send it or hit this. I mean, that was a pretty nice hit. But some of these jumps at the end of this terrain park are absolutely massive. And people were just sending it, doing crazy stuff. And I watched them for a little while. And that's right just next to like a standard blue or green run that takes you down to the base area. So pretty cool place to watch. And then if you were on the lift, you could just watch some crazy tricks going off. So if you are a park skier, I highly recommend this as one of the best resorts that you could go to. You're going to have a ton of fun there, as well as just the vibe of people who are into extreme sports or skateboarding or surfing, and then also are into snowboarding or skiing. From Southern California just kind of adds to the allure of the park skiing here. But overall, also there's in Mammoth Lakes, California. So what's crazy about Mammoth Mountain Ski Resort is that I'm on one part of the resort, which is like a base area. They've got a little spot here for a restaurant and everything else. But you can also be in Mammoth Lakes, like the actual town, and take a gondola pretty much right up to the top of the mountain from the town. And there's bars, restaurants, all kinds of stuff right there. I just chose this because this is where I wanted to hit early in the morning. There was some stuff that was kind of fresh that I wanted to get to after I had had a friend there the day before who told me where to go ski in the morning. So I went there. And did that in the morning. But you can also stay in town where there's like kind of a whole little shops, restaurants thing. And that gondola takes you straight up. No issues there. So just different ways that you can ski this and enjoy. But it does feel massive when you're on this mountain. And these videos don't do anything for the steepness of the terrain. I think in the very beginning of the video when we go across and just show you those mountains. I mean, those things are so steep that when you're on them, you're looking down and it can give you vertigo, but you don't get that effect in video. And if you've skied Mammoth, please comment, let me know if you feel the same at some of the extreme terrain. But I just loved how open it is because the higher elevations, you're kind of like above the tree line. So there's a lot of just terrain and kind of bowls that you can ski and kind of navigate wherever you want on the mountain. Some of that more expert or higher intermediate level terrain, that's just kind of how it is. You navigate and choose your way down, and there's 175 paths, so you can do whatever. And then as you get lower down on the mountain, there's some more trees and more like traditional skiing and runs that you can enjoy. But overall, just really cool place. It's definitely, I would say, one of my top 10 ski resorts that I've ever been to, just for the extremeness of the summit terrain. If you want to challenge yourself, and if you get there the day of or day after a powder day, it is pretty fun and just amazing. Some of the bowls that you can ski and really enjoy. And then also just all the intermediate terrain, beginner terrain, and how navigable it is. You could spend a couple days there and it would probably take you that much time to hit all the different runs with 175 of them, and the length of the runs with 3,100 feet of vertical drop. you really do have a lot to explore and 3 mile longest trails. There's a couple runs that I went on which were at least a couple miles long. So I never felt too crowded when I was there. I felt like there was a lot of room to explore. I love that you get some sunshine. It was pretty warm the day that I went there, so I might have even been in a t-shirt when I went skiing here. And this was in March, so a little bit later in the season, but the snow quality was great. That's one thing about this Sierra Nevada mountain range. A lot of times they're going to get that Pacific moisture, which can really be more March or April oriented skiing. In this particular year, 2025, they got a lot more snow in March, late March, and even into April than they had earlier in the season. So if you're planning a trip typically out west to the Sierra Nevada mountain ranges, I lean on February and after just because that's when they're going to accumulate the most snow and have the most snowpack. But they also seem to get historically reliable moisture into March. It may be a little bit warmer sometimes, and you may have spring conditions some days, but you're also going to have, because of the elevation of this at 11,000 feet at the top, you're going to get a lot of cold snow and a lot of good snow still. So overall, thank you for watching our review of Mammoth Mountain Ski Resort. I hope you enjoyed it. And if you go there, please enjoy skiing there. And if I see you on the mountain, say hi. Let's go for a run. Let's ski and enjoy your season of skiing. And I hope this helped. Please give us that thumbs up, subscribe, or click any of the links below if you want to support us. We do always appreciate that, so we can help make you great content. But Mammoth, super fun resort. I hope you get to go there one day and enjoy it.